Nagato. Got no father like I'm Naruto. Keep the blade on me, Ichigo. Who really wanna go toe for toe? GTR from Tokyo. Diamonds whipping up on the stove. Lucky man like a 4-leaf clove. Diamonds wanna go.
Hello everyone, this is Nagato's Revenge here. Hope you guys are having an awesome day for today. In today's video / showcase, I'm going to be showing you guys on how to hack your PlayStation Vita on 3.71 firmware. And I know this may seem crazy. You're probably going to be like, hold up, Nagato, didn't 3.70 is the only latest firmware that can be hacked as of like today? Well, recently I just looked on my Twitter not too long ago, and in the morning I've just seen it blown up, and from an official dev, the official Flow, he tweeted that he has just released a hack for 3.71. So it came out of left field. It was a surprise. I was not expecting this. I was originally going to record another video for today, but I decided to just hop on things and try it out on my PlayStation Vita. So that's why I decided to make this video for today. One thing I do want to state before I get into the nitty gritty, as of right now on 3.71, I do not recommend anyone to downgrade their systems. There has been some reports that the system, or basically people who are trying to downgrade with the Maduro app, they're basically getting their PlayStation Vitas or PSTVs bricked from that method. So I do recommend to stay away from downgrading. If there is any further news in terms of downgrading to basically go back to like 3.60 to install Enzo, I will have that on my channel. But for today's tutorial, I'm just going to be strictly teaching you guys on how to install H-Encore on the latest firmware of your Vita, because originally I wanted to showcase on how to downgrade as well, but stuff came up in terms for that. So hopefully the developers could figure out why 3.71 systems are having issues in terms of downgrading. But with all that fun stuff getting out the way, I do recommend y'all guys could go ahead and follow my social media so you know the latest hacking guides and tutorials from my channel by being subscribed to me and also hitting that notification button. It will help you guys on how to learn on basically the new topics that is dropping in the scene, whether it be for the PS4, PS3, and Vita, such as so forth. The best way on how to know when I drop my latest content as well is following my Twitter. That's where I usually update my fan base on when I drop my latest content. So go ahead, subscribe to me via my Twitter. As well, if you want to be in the mix of things, you could follow my official Discord in the link in the description below. I'll have that, since I know a lot of people are probably going to ask me a lot of questions in the comment section on how to basically hack 3.71, since it's very new. It's just literally released today. So go ahead and join my official Discord. Not only you can meet new people from the hacking and modding community, you could also get support for various systems such as the PSTV, the Vita, stuff like that. So go ahead, you could join my official Discord. If you do want to support my channel as well, you can feel free to donate my PayPal. Any of the money that I may receive from my fans and supporters will go straight back into my channel. It will help me buy things such as a better microphone, any audio equipment in terms of camera. I could any money that I may receive will help me with editing software tools like that, or even showcase a console on this channel so I could provide y'all guys the best content to showcase to you. With all that being stated out the way as well, we could get started on today's prerequisites, and any of the items I do state will be in the download description below. And for today's tutorial, I'm not using any third-party website. I'm using the official GitHub from the official Flow. So all of his write-up and all of the downloads and links, I'll have that in the description below. But of course, you need either a PlayStation Vita that is either a 1000 or 2000, and either you could have a PlayStation TV for this method. You need to either be on the latest firmware, which is 3.71, and no lower than 3.65. So either firmware between 3.65 to 3.71, you can do this process for. As well, you need H-Encore², basically the hack itself. You also need a PSN account, so your device doesn't have to be necessarily activated, or your PSN account doesn't need to be activated onto your PlayStation Vita or TV. It just has to be on your device. So if you don't already have a PSN account set up on your PlayStation Vita, just go ahead, restore your system, get that set up with a PSN account, so you could go ahead and get started with this process. You also need QCMA, PSV image tools, PKG to zip, and as well, last but not least, you need a demo or Japanese demo called Better Smile DRM free, and that will be in the GitHub as well. One thing I do want to state is some disclaimers. So if you have a 1000 model, aka the fat model or the OLED model, you need to have a memory card for this process. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be using my 1000 Vita. And basically, if you have one like me, you got to have a memory card. However, if you have a PlayStation TV or a slim model, which is the 2000 series, you could just use the 1 GB internal memory to get this installed, and you don't need a memory card for this process. If you have a memory card for a PSTV or a 2000 model, great, you can still do it as well. It's just 1000 models absolutely needs a memory card to get this installed. One thing I do want to go ahead and state as well, here is the official GitHub page. I will have that in a link in the description below. But with all that fun stuff getting out the way, I just want to give a special thanks out to the Flow and any of the developers that helped with this process in the making. I know as of right now, in terms of plugins, there's been a lot of updates going, and basically a lot of plugins are getting ported to 3.71 firmware since of this new hack. So just wait about like 2 or 3 days. Mostly all of your favorite plugins are going to be there, so such as no NPDRM. I know VitaShell is getting an update, auto plugin is getting an update for today. So if you're wondering about, you know, the compatibility issues in terms of your favorite plugins, they're most likely going to get updated in the next week or so. But with all that fun stuff getting out the way, we could go ahead and get started on the PC side of things. Alrighty guys, one thing we need to go ahead and verify before we get started on the PC side of things, we need to verify that our system's on 3.71 firmware. So I'm going into my settings, system, going to system information, and then as showcased here on system software, it states that I'm on 3.71 firmware. Once you verify that you're on 3.71, we're going to go and transfer to the PC, and then we're going to download the files we need for today's video. Alrighty guys, so assuming that you did follow all the prerequisites as stated in the intro and verify that your PlayStation Vita or PSTV is on 3.71 firmware, or in this case 3.65, you are able to start on the PC side of things just like me, and we could go ahead and get started on today's tutorial. One thing I do want to mention before we even get started, because I basically had to cut out a bunch of footage for this recording. I was almost done recording this video, but I had to basically restart all over since there's been reports that PlayStation Vitas and PSTVs using the Maduro app to downgrade your system. Since I was originally going to teach you guys on how to downgrade, in this video I'm unfortunately not, since there has been reports of systems being bricked. So I don't want anyone's systems being bricked as of right now. Maybe in the future developers could figure out what is the issue in terms of the bricks for the Vita, and maybe there is a new app that will basically be for 3.71 only in terms of downgrading. But for today, I'm just going to be showcasing on how to install H-Encore² successfully onto your PlayStation Vita. But with that being stated out the way, I do not recommend anyone downgrading. This is from the official developer himself. So with that being out the way, we could go ahead and get started on the requirements and get all into the actual video. So if you don't know where H-Encore² is, I'll just read it to you here. Where H stands for hack and homebrews, is basically the 4th public jailbreak for the PlayStation Vita, and it allows basically that systems from 3.65 to 3.71 are now able to basically run user modifications or kernel modifications. You can also change the clock speed on your Vita, install plugins, run homebrews, and much more like that. So that's basically the purpose for H-Encore². So if you ever wanted to run RetroArch, play PSP backups, Adrenaline, play PlayStation Vita backups via with no NPDRM, run any modifications, trophy hacking, anything of that nature, H-Encore is going to allow you to basically run unsigned code on the latest firmware version of your Vita. As stated in the intro, I'm not going to go over the prerequisites, or as stated here, the requirements. I'm just going to skim through over it. So of course your system needs to be on 3.65 to 3.71 firmware. If you want a lower firmware, just go ahead and update to whatever firmware you want to. I recommend if you are lower than 3.60, just go ahead and install Henkaku regularly. But if you're on 3.65 or anything like that, or lower than that, just go ahead and you want to do this method, just choose a firmware either between 3.65 to 3.71. Of course, if you have a fat OLED model PlayStation Vita, the one I'm using today, aka a 1000 series Vita, you'll need a memory card in order for this to install. If you either have a slim 2000 model Vita or a PlayStation TV, you're just going to be using the internal storage if you don't have a memory card. If you have a slimmer PSTV model, with a memory card, that's fine too. And you got to make sure you at least have 270 megabytes of free space before doing this. Of course, as I stated in the intro as well, your device needs to be linked up via with PSN. It doesn't have to be activated, but make sure that you have a PSN account on your Vita. It's very important since you're going to be needing your Vita's account ID, and I'll get into that a little bit more in the video, but it needs to be activated, or not activated, but your PlayStation Network account needs to be on your Vita. If it's not, just restore your Vita via using default settings, sign into your PSN account that way, and then you'll be good to go. Now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go through down the list of all the steps of what we need to do, and I'm just going to explain on everything in terms of like how we're going to get H-Encore to successfully install into our Vita. So let's go ahead and start with the first step. All we need to do is download H-Encore² to our PC, and then we need to extract it. So that's the file right here. We're going to install QCMA. I'm going to open this up in a new tab. I'm going to also open a new tab for PSV image tools. Same thing with PKG to zip. And we're also going to be downloading the vulnerable DRM free demo, which is called Better Smile, and that's the PKG file right here. Let's go ahead and get QCMA installed. So basically we're going to install QCMA. Let's scroll all the way down. Depending on what operating system you have, go ahead and choose via whatever your system is. So I'm on Windows 10, so I'm just going to be using Windows Installer. Then we're going to go into GitHub and get PSV image tools. For here, we're going to go to releases, scroll all the way down to where we find basically our operating system. So if you're on OS X, go ahead and download that. Linux, same thing for y'all guys. If you're on Windows 32-bit or 64-bit, just go ahead and choose whatever. I'm on 64-bit, so that's the one I'm going to be using for this video. Then what we need is PKG to zip. And what we need to do is go to releases, scroll all the way down, and download either the 64-bit or 32-bit, depending on what PC or basically what operating system you have for Windows. Once you got all of these files done downloaded, we could go ahead and get started on step 4, and this is extracting the demo using this command in terminal cmd. So that's what we're going to be doing now. So I'm going to minimize out of this, go into my downloads folder right here. And what we're going to do is just extract these files right here, or I'm going to basically copy all of these files since these are all the ones we downloaded for today. And now we're going to go and get them successfully installed and extracted out. So this is the PKG. Here's Better Smile. We're just going to put that to the side for now. What I'm going to do first is go ahead and get these files extracted. So what I'm going to do is go to H-Encore, right click, and all you got to do is go to extract files. If you have WinRAR or WinZip, or if you in Windows, just click on the folder and then extract it out that way. So now we have our first folder of choice. I'm going to go ahead and delete this folder off my PC. Same thing we're going to do for PSV image tools. We're just going to go ahead and hit OK. Put that via right here. Now for PKG to zip 64-bit, we're going to go to extract files, go to OK. And now we got our folders right here. So all of the zip files we could just delete from our PC. And now we're good to go for the most part. We have all of our files extracted out to our desktop. What we need to do now is go into PKG to zip 64-bit or whatever one you have, depending on what version. We're just going to extract this out to our desktop, minimize this or close out this folder, delete that one. And now we're going to go into H-Encore². We're going to put our PKG to zip.exe in here. Now we're going to go into this H-Encore² folder. And then in this directory right here, what we're going to do is take our PSV image tools, copy every folder right here. So you either hit Control A or just drag it over. And now you're basically good for that point. So PSV image tools, that folder could be out of the way. Now this is how your folder should look as of right now. You should have, if I go back into H-Encore², PKG to zip is supposed to be right here. H-Encore² or right here. All of the PSV image .dll files and exes or the binary files will go into this folder right here. What we need to do now let's go ahead and take our PKG, put it into the root of this folder right here, and right in our address bar, what we need to type is cmd. And now I'm going to minimize this out, and we need to type in something to basically get Bittersmile to extract out into a certain directory. So that is step. Let me go back into GitHub right here, and let me minimize this out. Go back from here. Let me just do side by side so it's a little bit easier. Now what we need to do is extract the demo, which is step 4. We already downloaded. We basically did 1, 2, and 3. Now we need to basically type in pkg to zip and then extract out this path. So in our cmd command prompt, what we need to do is type pkg to zip exactly like this, a dash, not an equal sign, if I could type today, X. And then what we need to do, if I minimize this out, or let me minimize both screens, let me open up my folder right now, and let me open up cmd so you guys can see on how to do this. What we need to do is take our pkg file right here, or basically Bittersmile, drag it to here, and now you basically get the file location where Bittersmiles is located. So instead of typing, you know, all of this mumbo jumbo, you could just drag and drop to cmd and then hit enter. Now what should happen if you did everything correctly, it's basically unpacking Bittersmiles as showcased here, and then it's going to extract it into one file via right here. So that's done. We could go ahead and exit out of cmd exe, put this to the side here, and I'm gonna open up GitHub. So we did steps 1 through 4 successfully. Now the next step states that copy the contents of the output from app PSCG 996, and this right here is Bittersmile. So if you keep seeing PSCG 996, just remember that as Bittersmiles. And what we need to do is to take that folder and put it into this directory right here, the one I have highlighted. So what we're going to do is go into app right here, go into PSCH or PSSG 996, going to copy everything right here, and then right click and go to cut. Now we're going to go back out to H-Encore², and now we did basically this first step. Now what we need to do is go into this directory right here. So we need to go into H-Encore², go into app, go into UX0 temp game, and then where it says Vita path txt, we need to paste our files into this directory right here. So if you did this step right, so such that the files eboot.bin and Vita path are within the same folder, so it's under this folder right here. So the eboot.bin and Vita path txt are in the same folder. So we did that correctly. Now we did step 5 correct. Now we need to do step 6. So for step 6 is basically stating that we need to copy the license file from that CERN directory right here to the folder of H-Encore license UX0 temp. And then this is where basically the license file has to go into. So since we already copied all of we didn't copy, but we cut, what we could do is something easy. So if you're still in this folder, what we need to do now is to go into sce_system, go into package and temp.bin. In this temp.bin folder, what we're going to do is copy, and we're going to go back out to sc_sys, go into UX0 temp, and then we're going to go into app, I believe, go to H-Encore², and now we're going to go back into license. So here's where the directory we need to put it in. So H-Encore² license UX0 temp, so into our license folder, UX0 temp, and this is where the Rift is going to go in, or temp.bin. So let me just paste it. Okay, so here's the temp.bin file that we got from this directory, the one I'm not highlighted, but I'm scrolling my mouse over. What we need to do is take this file and rename it as a RIF. So take the temp.bin, just Control-C this, take the temp.bin file, rename it, hit Control-A on your keyboard, Control-V, and name this as a RIF. Don't make sure it doesn't say .rif.bin. It has to say basically .rif. So as stated here, it should not be .rif.bin. It should just be the file extension should be .rif. So basically, again, the file has to be in the same path as Vita path.txt, which it is right here. Now, what we need to do is go ahead and run QCMA. So let me go ahead and minimize this out right here. And now we're going to go and run QCMA on our computer. So run this as administrator if you have to, but all you have to do is click on. And as QCMA is loading up as showcased here, we just got to wait for it to basically unpack all of its data. Now it will just ask you your language. So if you're from, Japan or you speak Spanish, just go ahead and select that language. But I'm from America, so I'm just going to be choosing English. Now from here, it'll just ask you welcome to QCMA setup. All you would have to do is hit next. You can read through all the license agreement stuff, but I'm just going to go through and hit OK. Then from here, just hit next once again. Make sure you use WinUSB driver, hit install, and then hit next one more time, finish. Now you can run QCMA at start, and then right here you can hit create desktop shortcut, and now hit finish. Once you do that stuff right now, what we need to do is go ahead and run QCMA. So make sure it's showcased on the screen. The easiest way on how to know that is seeing the little Vita logo right here. Now what we need to do is go back into GitHub and figure out the next step. So let me scroll all the way down. So right now we just started up QCMA, and now we have to basically set our firmware version to 0.00. So the way on how to do that via within QCMA is to go to here, right click over QCMA, and then go into settings. You want to verify that you hit other. Make sure you have offline mode toggle on. Make sure you have all of these 5 options stated here toggle on. CMA protocol selection, make sure you have that to latest. And you also want to have use this version for updates, firmware 0.00, which is basically up to date. And that was for step 7 right there. Now what we need to do is go ahead to our PlayStation Vita and get our system connected. So what you want to do about right now is to get your PlayStation Vita's cable, make sure it's plugged into your to your PC, and then we need to go into Content Manager, and I'm about to show that right now. Alrighty guys, so as showcased here, if you plugged in your PlayStation Vita's USB cable into your PC and now in your Vita, you should basically see the Content Manager bubble showing, like going up and down. Then all you would have to do is hit copy content. And if you did everything correctly, you should basically see your PC connected successfully via with your Vita to QCMA. Alrighty guys, so assuming that you did follow that step and you made sure that your PlayStation Vita successfully connect with QCMA by plugging your USB cable into your PC and into your Vita, we need to still go ahead and finish step 8 and verify some things, which is our account ID and also that our PSN ID is showcasing in QCMA. So the easiest way, what we need to do now is just minimize out of GitHub. Let me minimize this as well. And now what we need to do is go into our hidden items or show hidden icons, right click over QCMA, go into backup manager. And if you did everything correctly, and it's very important that you do have this right now, that's why you need a PSN account already prior to this step. You should see your PSN account's ID. I already know my PSN account ID is Nagato dev. So if you do see your PSN account ID, that means you already did most of the steps correctly so far. If you do not, please be sure to go ahead and repeat step 8, plug in, maybe restart your PC, reinstall QCMA. But it's very important and crucial that you do see your PSN ID, because not only we need to see our PSN ID, we need to get our account ID, which is a 15-digit, I think, character random like string of code and stuff, and I'll showcase that in a second right now. So minimize that. What we need to do is go back into QCMA, go into settings, go into folders, go into applications/backups, and then once you do that, what you want to do is to go to app, and this is the string of code that I'm talking about right here. Yours will be different than mine, and this is your account ID. So what we need to do is just Control-C and copy this, because it's very important that we need this for the next step. And this basically is going to allow us to convert our Bittersmile copy of the DRM free demo and turn it into the basically the exploit, which is H-Encore². So that's what we're going to be doing now. So we're going to cancel out. We're going to minimize out of QCMA, or you could just close it for now. you can open up a notepad or TXT. This is the easiest way I recommend on doing this. Just go ahead and hit Control V on your PC as showcased here, and your account ID of course will be different than mine, but this is it right here. And now what we're going to do is open up GitHub again, and this is basically, or it's not 15 characters, but it's 16 characters long, and this is the one we just copied to our TXT file on Notepad. So what we need to do now is step 9, or excuse me, instead of going to step 9, we need to go into this website right here on the GitHub. So you could just right click, open a new tab, and we need to generate our account ID, and it's going to get a 64 character long string of random numbers and letters. This is very important. So what we need to do is just go ahead and hit Control C. So that's what I'm doing right now. And then we're going to go ahead and hit enter in this notepad. And now what we're going to do is go back into GitHub, and what we're going to verify is step 9. So we basically successfully did step 8. Now we need to do step 9. So this key is basically the key that is 64 characters long, the one that we just copied from here. And we need to basically set up our terminal and also set up CMD with this key. Now it's kind of difficult, or not, it's not difficult, it's just kind of confusing on how to set this up. The easiest way on how to do this is basically what I like to do is copy all of this text right here, go to our TXT text pad, and then paste it right onto Notepad. Now I'm just going to open up Notepad so you can see full screen. Anytime where you says your key, this is your key. The second line where I told you guys to copy the 64 random string of like characters, you need to put your key into this spot right here. Make sure you have space between the K's and also where this part is right here. And we're going to do this for each single one. So there's 4 of them where it says your key at, just paste right here. For your license, we're going to do it for that as we did it with the app meta. For your save data, we're just going to do the same thing right here. And it makes it very much easier on how to do this in command prompt rather than, you know, typing all of this out, because God forbid you could just copy and paste. And now we're done with that step for right now. So what in set 9, we basically need to change our directory to H-Encore² and run CMD into those folders. So what we're going to do now, I'm gonna minimize this out, and into H-Encore², I'm gonna minimize this. So go into our H-Encore² folder, go into H-Encore². Make sure you already have your PSV image exes and all of its files that we extracted out into this folder right here. But what we need to do now is in our address bar, type in CMD, so back out or just backspace, hit CMD. And now what we need to do is fairly simple, is to minimize this out. I'm just going to drag this to the side, and then I'm going to open up my notepad so it's a little bit more easier to see. We're going to take our first this first string of code right here and hit Control C, and then we're going to go Control V right here, hit enter. And if you did everything right, as you see, it's basically packing all of the files to Bitter Smile, and it's making it into the actual H-Encore² hack itself. So it does take a little while, not too long, but it takes about like a minute or so. And then once it's fully done, it'll show down at the bottom that you could type in another command in CMD. And it's fairly easy. The last 3 commands are easier to do than the first one, since it takes longer, but for the app meta, license, and save data, it doesn't take long at all. So I'm just waiting for it's done. So yeah, once it's done, you'll see basically your user and your desktop. What we need to do now is go back into app meta, Control C, copy and paste via right here, hit enter again. Then the second one is done. Now we could do the third one. Let me just scroll here, Control C once again. And then for license, hit enter one more time. And then last but not least, we're going to be doing the save data, and then hit Control C. And then let me just back one time, hit enter, and now you're all done. Once you did this part, this is probably the quote-unquote hardest part for this tutorial. Now it's just basically transferring this file over. So I'm going to minimize these 2 files right here. I'm going to actually close out of the CMD prompt. Now I'm going to go back into GitHub. So if you did everything correctly and you basically got the CMD portion done of this tutorial, what we need to do is go to this folder right here and check that our files are in PSV image and also PSV format with the same name as the folder. So what I'm going to do now is go into H-Encore. Let me just put it side to side so it's easier to read. Now we're going to go into H-Encore², and now you should see PSSG 996. Now if we go into this folder right here and go into at meta, as you see, it has PSV image .psv image at meta, and it has PSV MD, and it's the same as the actual folder it's coming out from, so it has the same name. Same thing with the license PSV image, and you could just verify. You do this for each one. So save data has the image and also the PSV MD format file. Same thing with st_sys, or it shouldn't have it in here. This is just for the icon and param.sfo. But once you have all that stuff right here, we could check the app one. It'll have the image right here. Now everything is in its right place. So I do recommend backing this up. So what I'm going to do is just create copy, and either on your desktop, we could do that right now. I'm just going to call this folder a backup one, so I'm creating a new one. We could just call this a backup folder. So let's say if you're doing this for another Vita and it's still synced in with the same PSN account, we could just have a backup instead of doing the whole CMD prompt again. If you're doing this for another Vita and your PSN account is different than the one you're using for the Vita for this one, then you have to do basically the CMD. But since we have a backup copy of this, we could go ahead and back out of that. Now if we go back into H-Encore², H-Encore² again, go into this file folder right here, just copy it, and if we go into X right now, go into hidden icons, go into QCMA settings. From here where it says applications and backups, go to browse. Then the one you want to go to and focus on this app, the one where you found your 16-digit random string of code, you want to paste it via right here. And now basically you're basically done for the most part on the side of the PC. Now we're going to cancel out, go back into QCMA settings, close that, go into show hidden icons, go into QCMA again, refresh your database, and now you should see that it added some new items to your database. Now all we have to do is go ahead and transfer this over via with Content Manager. So what I'm going to do now is basically go to our PlayStation Vita and then get this set up via with QCMA and connect it via with Content Manager. So I'm going to showcase that right now on the screen. Alrighty guys, so as showcased here, what we need to do now is go straight back into Content Manager, go into copy content. Then what we need to do is just wait for our Vita to process to go into Content Manager. Now we need to go ahead and hit PC to this system, go to applications, PS Vita, and now you should notice that you have H-Encore² on your screen. All you would have to do is just hit copy and then hit OK. Now it's going to just take a little while for it to copy. So all you would have to do for this process is just wait for, your thing to basically do its thing. And now as showcased here, it says that I have like 6,000 minutes to go, but I think it's just a little bug. Now as you see, the time is going down. What I'm going to do is cut the video right here, and then once it's fully finished, I'm going to go ahead and showcase what it should look like on your Vita. Alrighty guys, so as showcased here, basically it's finished copying over. Let me scroll back out from my Vita, and as you notice, I have the H-Encore² bubble. If you got to this process, congratulations, you have successfully hacked your Vita, but there are some things we still need to do for this process. So first things first, we need to install the first option, which is Henkaku. Then from here, we need to go to download VitaShell. And then once VitaShell is downloading, it is the latest version as of right now, which I think is 1.99. So I'm just waiting for VitaShell to do its process. And then we could go ahead and exit out. And then once you exit out of your Vita system, as I'm doing right here, what we need to do is go into VitaShell, just verify that it's working. And then once VitaShell is showcased onto the screen, we need to go ahead and make sure it's not just saying UX0. We need to go into settings, go into Henkaku settings, And then once we in there, we need to enable unsafe homebrew. Make sure your spoof version is to the latest version, which is 3.71. Back out. Just go ahead and reclose out of VitaShell once again. And then once you're into VitaShell, voila, you have successfully hacked your Vita, and now you can see all your directories. Alrighty guys, I just want to say thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys did learn something for today, and now you have a PlayStation Vita or PSTV hacked on the latest firmware. So now you are able to do a multitude of things, from like emulators, playing backups and all that fun stuff like that. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like, be sure to subscribe to my channel for the latest hacking guides and tutorials. But with that being said, my name is Nagato and I'm signing out. Peace. I'll see you guys next time.